Hello everyone on Women Dialogues, and I'm your host Shafi with all of you again to create more voice for women by women. And today's our guest joining us from Slovenia, Miss Tania. She has worked in her country with many top level leadership positions in public administration. So welcome Miss Tania on Women Dialogues, and it is our great pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Dr. Sashi, and also your community. Happy to be here and excited to do the dialogue. Thank you, and appreciate what you do for women, but also for communities.
Thank you. So, Tanya, before we start talking about your current work and all, tell us about your childhood. How was the situation of women during that time? What kind of challenges you faced too as well at your place?
Thank you. Well, it was, I'm from Slovenia. So when I was still a child, that was part of bigger country, ex-Yugoslavia. And I had, I would say, careless childhood. My parents provided that for me and my sister, but they were very hardworking people. So in a way that was installed also in our lives with my sister. So since early childhood on, I started to swim when I was, I think, 6 years old. So in a way it was always some training, some routine and working hard. So they wanted to raise us in that way with certain values, working habits, and also to build up our character. But in between, I loved, in a way, the sport. I love company. I love learning like that, and it was part of the socializing. And also that we had the bigger country in a way. I spent a lot of time outside of school because we had some tournaments or so over the country, and that was in a way something that I always remember. And the other thing. I didn't have that much free time that many of my peers, right? They after school they were free. They could play a lot. Me and my sister, we always had some programs. So in a way, it was school, short play, but then it was doing all the work for school, but then also training. So in a way, it was all routinized, and I think it stuck with me. So I do a lot of work. I'm able to do a lot of work, but then I struggle with that. I sometimes overwork, right? And I don't take free time. So I think that stayed through the time with good and maybe sometimes not so good habits. But then it also helped me develop my personality, I would say, character, being open to different influences, learning from different people, knowing how to socialize. But the position, like you said, of women, I'm from family where my parents were in way equal. I had always right to speak up since childhood, right? Also my sister. And now working more worldwide, I sometimes, not that I'm shocked, right? But I still learn how this is important, how this immediate environment when we grow up, how we are conditioned, right, in certain patterns, especially working as a coach. I observed that, how we are socially conditioned. But then it was good to some extent also in my working life. I thought I can be me, I can share, and sometimes it wasn't that easy. But I think I just worked hard for what I wanted or where I wanted to be, but not really questioning, can I be that? Can I work hard? So for that, I'm grateful to my parents. They never made it easy for me, especially my mom. She's very tough on certain values. She left me be me, like choose my own things, but then she said, okay, you're on your own. That's you have to take full responsibility for it. But it kind of worked. Sometimes I cried. That's not fair, right? But I'm grateful for that part. I think it grounded me. It made me a strong foundation that helped me grow up to the person that I'm today. So that, and also with sister, we are very much different. She's 4 years older. I don't know, we are struggling whether we are from two different planets often, but always together. And parents raised us that we are the most important connection that we have, that we need to take care of each other. So we did. But now being both grown-ups, it's really beautiful connection, and we really support each other through life with everything that comes along. And also we're very much connected as a family. But yeah, sometimes we're just, where did you come from, right? But yeah, stayed together and learned from it. So I would say that's my childhood in a way. What's the most that I remember from?
No, that's very interesting. And thanks a lot for sharing with us and with our audience. And it's really, I think, enhancing our knowledge about how the things about, having equality, about having your own voice is important to shape you as an individual person. So, and when we talk about your, career life, your public administration work experience, since you work closely with many government departments, um, what were the main challenges with women perspective, if we see, for the government uh, staff?
Well, in Slovenia, women also from previous countries, said ex-Yugoslavia, and then in Slovenia, since we are independent, women work besides family, right? Those that have family, but it was never a thing not to work. And in a way, they are well educated. They have opportunity to be. It's just often if they have also family, it's a huge burden on women. Mm-hmm. So it's often more than on men. But not that they are not allowed to be somewhere, or they cannot be where decisions are taking place. So that's maybe sometimes that I observe different from other parts of the world in history, mm-hmm. or also at time being. Mm-hmm. How I observe it, it's not that it's not allowed, but and not necessarily that women has to do more. But I think we tend to do more. We want to be good at, we want to learn and grow through it. So I think it's us pushing ourselves sometimes too far or too much, and maybe struggling with being accepted, being part of it, being good enough. But I think it's how I've had experience is more internal of me personally, but also women that I knew and work with, sometimes more than men, right? So it was less that society would judge us, oh, you're not, I don't know, as good as men, you need to do more. But I think we tend to do, right? We want to be good at, and that's why we just do a lot of studying along the way, not just, I already know it, I want to go to the top position. So in a way, what I've observed with the majority of women, that we work hard step by step to go the ladder in a way, or whatever career you choose. But then I often now as a coach see women struggling with where's the top, or they cannot reach the top, or they lose along the way themselves. Either they lose passion, either they lose focus, or they lose, for me it's not the same as for men. And me looking back, I worked really hard, but not just harder than men or other women, but it was more because I was in public policy. And often it's crossed with politics, and many people come from political parties to those positions. I was never part of the political party. So I saw more in that regard, that it's from people being from political parties, it was like it's theirs, it belongs to them. For me, I needed to work through. It worked good for me, how I am. But looking back, that was the bigger division than women or men. But often I was the substitute, right? I was the deputy. And they saw me in that way. So you're a great expert, you have a lot of experiences, you know your way around in the system because you were so long there and you're good at it. So they offered me deputy position, not at the top, right? So I often work for a man at the top position, and often it's perceived that this is how it should be. But I don't think just from men, often women take that position. I don't know whether we feel better at it. What I've encountered that many women, I might be too way ahead, but they are great managers. Sometimes way better than men, with great coordination skills, great, not multitasking, but being able to see big pictures and make an order of many things, and handling many things, and also being caring that everyone is good, that they can do the work. So I think naturally we also tend to be in certain positions. So I never know how to judge that or say, yes, it's this, it's this. But from my personal experience, I was often good to be the second. I was often good to be behind the scenes. And not that I wasn't able to do the work in front of, but I have to be honest that also I wasn't comfortable with being faced with all the criticism that comes along, with being judged. Oh, who do you think you are? Or why you think you know it all, being on top of it, or whatever, right? So it's a lot of these things, and I think I didn't want that for myself often. I'd rather work. I feel good when I did the good work together with colleagues, when we finish things, when we achieved certain results. So it's always, I like to be, I would say, honest how I made decisions and choices, and also in teams. But I'd rather work in mixed gender teams, so it's men and women. I think we need to learn how to work better together than just one gender together. I think as a leader, when I work in these kind of teams or being part of the team, we made way better team or better results, or being more creative with different solutions. And sometimes one would have better solution or would know how to lead, and then the other. So I'm always in favor for working together.
Yeah, definitely. We were, as you said, we always have to work together, and that is always. I feel like it's a universe thing, and it should be like that. It should not be segregated. But when we are talking about women in leadership, where you were touching about, like some are work, as women tend to work hard, or they work double for to become on certain level or position. Do you think it is because of the environment and the society is also playing indirect role in that? Because we talk about women empowerment, but at the same time they always have to deal with two jobs. One is full-time housework they need to manage, but same time they are doing work outside the home as well.
I think it's often unspoken things in the society. And then we just interpret, okay, we need to do it like that. I cannot say any other way. I cannot suggest differently. I'll be judged for certain things. And my experience would be working with women, leading women, or now as a coach working with them, right? And it's really hard for me, really, not say that just women struggle, because also men, when I work with them, they maybe just act differently or respond differently, but often they hide even more, right, how they struggle. And they often don't get support that they need also, right? So that's why I'm so cautious in where I put my thought on it or word. But what you asked, I think I've learned the most when I meet foreigners here in Slovenia or in Europe, and they say, and especially Slovenian women, I don't have my own family, but those that have, they're like super women, right? It's expected that they can do everything and really on top of it, and then women push themselves to be on that, not less than men, having all education, great job, but also being great moms, great partners, everything super, super, right? And when I met one friend living here, she said, I was like, she's married to a Slovenian guy. She's from Latin country. And she said, I cannot believe this super something. I was so burdened with it, I almost lose it. I said to my husband, I cannot do it this way. We do it differently. It's not less, it's not worse, right? But it's just differently. So I think I also encourage that part. We could learn from each other, not to get caught up in these social ways of doing things. Because you can be everything of that. You don't have to, I don't know, jeopardize for the career, relationship, or family or something. But actually, you cannot be on top of it all the time or everything, because it's 24 hours we have. So here, I think it's a lot of social conditioning and how we feel safe in it. to express our struggles, or can I have help? To express our needs, where to get help. We're not learned to do it. So I think that's the most important part, to talk about it, that it's not anything shameful, that we don't develop guilt through it, that we need help. It's normal. And I think in the past, communities worked in that way to support individuals. Now I think it's a lot of these individuals, I think, and we often struggle through it. So yeah, I would say that, but we
that's really good
need to
point.
open up in that regard.
That's really good point. Like, one should not feel guilt by looking some sort of help or support when they are requiring for, or when they are in need for. And whereas I feel like that's really important, because as you mentioned, we often feel maybe a little bit shame, or maybe not comfortable to ask for that support which we need for. So I think that's very important point. But when we are talking about all those, I heard that you do coaching and all, and you are a transformational coach. So tell us about your transformational coach journey, how you became what you are today.
Well, that's even better to talk about. I enjoy my path and journey, and it's really rewarding working with people on that journey of becoming more, I call it more free, and being powerful who they are, and achieving those goals that they have, or I don't know, inner passions and desires. Well, I came into coaching in 2011. I've done my certification, and before that I did NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming. I was in that phase, studying a lot, working a lot, but then working everything and searching for knowledge and skills to develop for being better leader, or to better communicate. And then it's a lot of self-work, right? Everything that I've learned, I could learn on myself first. But at that time I was in a public sector, so I was in top position, so I couldn't coach professionally, but I used coaching in my leadership and for myself. So I think I just developed through it. It's personal growth, personal develop, integrated in profession. So I think it became in a way lifestyle to think it like that. But then I knew that at one point I'll be coaching professionally. That will be my way of living, because when I came to that profession, I said, oh, that's good. 2/3 of my personality can now live freely and just do one thing, not 10 things. But then it took time, and I specialized in leadership coaching. I'm passionate about leadership, and not just for leadership in companies, but more on self-leadership and self-mastery. I think it's just great guideline for lifelong learning, and that you develop yourself through that. And almost 4 years ago, there was a time when I chose, okay, that's the time. It wasn't like, I mean, it was always a click, it was preparing for it, but I was on the top in a way from my previous career. I was state secretaries, in our case, that's deputy minister. And people were struggling. Why you're going out? Why now? You put so much work into it. You could now live on your laurels, or just have a good time, or I don't know, or just be on that position. And I said, I'm not going back, and I cannot just stay here. For me, that's going further on. I'm just continuing my journey. I was so prepared to do it. I did a lot of coaching on it with my coach and coaching mentor. So for that part, I was super prepared. And transformational, because it's really working with whole personality. I like that. I don't think that we are just some professional role. And also now working with people, they teach me so much on that part, how much more potential still is in the society and in personal, I would say, thinking approach, because we're really so social conditioned, or what we are taught how to be. And for me, I developed it slowly through Be Powerful and Free journey. I started with blogging because it was my personal journey. And at one point I call it fed up with all the leadership, because I thought that's so everyone knows everything on leadership. Everyone thinks that he or she knows the best, but I was surrounded with a lot of also bad leadership from my perspective. So I was struggling whether to go on that journey or even not, right? I mean, not to become a coach, but then leadership, right? Now I'm struggling whether to be there or not. So, but then there was some breaking point moment. And I would just like to encourage everyone to stick through it, right? To go through it, because that's the journey. It's not that
Yeah.
it's all smooth sailing or that it has to be clear path. Mine was actually through some people that taught me I don't belong there. I don't want to work for them. They were rejecting me, either me or you, and they were clear. So I'm not jeopardizing me, so you'll go. And I was like, what's that, right? I cannot deal with it, but I've learned more about myself and to stick to that, to my truth, and being, I don't know, to stand for it more than from those that in a way supported me. But I'm grateful for both of it. So yeah, now on the journey.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
wonderful.
programs. I
Yeah.
work with individuals, small groups, but also just in trying to inspire people, empower people to share their power story, their leader story, because it's really, we are unique in
But
that
I think
sense.
when you're talking about all these things, it's like wonderful. But when you're talking about giving them a transformational approach and creating them their own leadership and finding their own uniqueness and transforming their personality, which they haven't explored. Do you have any, or maybe something to share with us? Maybe any client where you can share with us some sort of a story? Yeah.
Well, I'll try. I mean, they're just amazing, right? Everyone, really. So that's why I'm so, I don't know, I believe in people. So we have this potential to learn and grow. We get it eventually, right? Or here and
Yeah.
then we struggle, but then we have
Yeah.
it. And what a transformation is when people just connect with their core self, and you're the witness. As a coach, you provide a space for them to feel safe, but also you're like a mirror. You're there to witness their soul, their desire, that inner desire that wants to come out. And what happens is almost with everyone, right? When it's this individual thing, do you really think I can do it? Oh, you saw me. Do you think I can really do it? So it shifts. Their face just lights up, and they cannot pretend that they didn't experience it. So my role is then to support it. They don't rationalize it. Oh, it was one time. Thanks. Not go there. I would share one. It was actually a client, a male client. He was struggling with depression. He was successful, a business owner, entrepreneur, but invested so much, 18 years of everything into that company. But he lost passion. It was just hard work, and he was struggling with depression. He said, I want to just sell it, give it all away. But then we started to work, and now he runs really successful company, and he took care of himself. So in a way, he learned how to do the self-love and lead. But when we did a break after 1 year of coaching, he said, I have another idea. I just don't want to come to your place because we'll need to make it happen. I know it will happen. I need some time. Through that period, he was able to create, after having this experience of transformational coaching and he becoming that new person in a way, or what he was inside, he created new business with his brother, a really successful one. It was more the hobby before, but now it's really lucrative business. And now he has bigger idea. He just said, I need more time because before we really do it. So this is how it happens, very naturally.
Yeah.
It's not frightening like we think at the beginning it would be. But it's really amazing also to see that we are afraid of ourselves, how big we can be, how impactful we could be, how powerful if we really do what we want to do and have insight. So for me, that's just great. If I can light up people, help them acknowledge
Yeah.
that and also make it reality, that's just great
Definitely.
service.
Yeah, it is inspiring, and I think that the way you explain how, with this story, how the person transformed and understood his own natural flow of success or having happiness in his life. It's really inspiring, but uh, it's really motivating, and I just would like to ask, if suppose you are on this platform, and uh, what do you think platform like this on women dialogue is needed?
Um, Well, I support that there are these platforms, and also support people like you that feel the calling, in a way, the need to share this, to create it, because there's certain uniqueness how you do it, and also who do you attract to be part of it. And I know also from my personal journey with Be Powerful and Free platform, it was in a way self-coaching exercise for people on its own. They wanted to share, but then who I am being powerful and free, what I stand for, and it
Yeah.
helped them do the next step. So for me, already that this exists, that it's safe place to be who you are at that moment, with
Yeah.
all your struggles, with all your fears, but also excitements, right?
Mhm.
And being confident and comfortable with yourself. I think it's great inspiration and empowerment for all of us. And the second thing is that it's not just another right platform. Oh, it's just self promotion. It's another thing. I hear a lot of that. I think it's really to stimulate to express ourselves, not to see what's good to express. What would be the best way to be acknowledged, accepted, liked, right? But I think all these platforms, especially yours, focusing on dialogues, we don't know how to have a good dialogue. We're not taught how to stay in communication, have a quality communication, because I said I'm specialized in leadership. I do a lot of that education also in training, and
Yeah.
everything comes to the communication. I
Mm.
often teach and explore. It's not that I teach communication, but we use day-to-day communication, either in private or professional settings,
Mhm.
and then how they communicate, how they can
Mhm.
develop communication, how they can
Yeah.
take responsibility for their own part in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome. And it's so amazing service and it's needed. But really to encourage us to share our truth,
Yeah.
although we might be, I don't know, supported or not in it, the support is you can share it. You don't need
Yes.
additional permission to do it, but
Yeah.
then take the full responsibility for it, what you share, what part of your share, yourself you're sharing, but be
That's
open to
beautiful.
get
Yeah.
response,
Yeah.
right?
That is
To
beautiful.
receive what comes your way, because from my experience, that's always learning. I might not
Yeah.
like it. I might not be super excited always. I might cry through it, but as said also in a previous career, I mean, it was not milk and honey, right? You are among politicians and there were so many interests for almost 20 years. But there was actually one lady, we didn't get along really well. We couldn't work together really successfully. We're very much different also value-wise. But
Yeah.
she taught me I'm very passionate of being in my authenticity, being truth, right? But in
Yeah.
those settings, I was trained to be polite, to
Mm.
understand many things, to not really be so open and raw, right, on certain things to share. And she was it. Now we're gonna sit down and say
Mm.
everything, and we're gonna clear the path. And I
Nice.
said, oh, wow, how we can do it? You're my superior, right? I was going through many conditioning, right? But
Right.
she said, this is like you would put the new color on the old furniture, right? She said, we need to put the color first down and express what's this, what kind of color we're putting, and then we'll see what goes on. And I
Yeah.
said, that's so awesome. That's great analogy. And it was so much relief in it. We didn't ended up being friends or working together. We went separate ways, but I've learned a lot from her because it was just raw. It was open invite. Okay, be yourself. Tell me everything. We're gonna clarify a thing, and then we move on further our known path. So I
Yeah.
was grateful for that because
Yeah.
often we don't have this opportunity in society,
Yeah.
and I think these
We don't.
platforms can open that as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think we'll struggle that much with each other. We'll more respect each other
Yeah.
and our uniqueness, because only then we can create even better
Yeah,
things, I would say.
that's true. That is true. That's a lot, that's beautiful. And thanks a lot for sharing it all with me and with all our audience today. It was great learning, and I'm so grateful for all of whatever way you explained it. But one of the last thing, what advice or message would you like to give to our viewers?
I don't do advice. I'm not good with advices, not for
But
myself.
as you said you
Yeah,
are a
it's more
transformation
inspiration, encouragement. Yeah.
as a coach, or as a, since you work a lot of
Yeah,
with
yeah. It's just everything that I do also for myself or with whom I interact. I encourage
what
us to
message?
explore who we are,
Hmm.
being open to learn more and more about ourselves, but
Mhm.
also notice others, because that's so much learning already where we are at in our relationships, everything that's around us. But
Mhm.
then not to hide that, not to play small, but being
Yeah.
creative, being courageous, being also
Mhm.
compassionate enough
Mhm.
to either stay there or go where you feel more comfortable with, or it's more better fit for you, but co-create with others, because I
Mhm.
think that's the way to develop ourselves but also society. So it
Yeah.
would be more inspiration, be more, like I call it, be powerful and free. So feel
Yes.
safe, be free to
Yeah.
be that, but I
Yeah.
call it also while making a difference. So do that change, make an impact, do whatever you feel you want to contribute to, but learn
Mhm.
along the way.
Yeah.
We weren't born with knowing it all. It's a
Mhm.
journey. So start
Yeah.
enjoying on the
Yes.
journey, not knowing it, but learning to know it. So that would be.
Yes. That's beautiful message for all of us and for our viewers. And once again, thank you. Thanks a lot, Tanya,
Thank you,
for
Dr. Sash.
sharing with us today. And thank you all viewers. If you would like to hear more women voice and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us and please share, subscribe, like, and thank you once again. See you in the next episode. And don't forget to connect with Tanya. Her description are below and as well. Thank you. See you in next episode.